So back when I was with Haven IAQ, we had a personal use program that was, or I think they still have it, which is to allow technicians to install the devices in their own homes to experience the product before they deploy it for their customers. That is also something that I've seen Smart AC does. And it not only gives the person who's experiencing the technology to be able to just technically test it, but I think it's a really important part of evaluating and making the business case to integrate monitoring
into an HVAC company.
Now, sometimes the person that is performing that either evaluation or testing is not a decision maker. They are maybe just a technician in a larger company, and they really want to push this technology forward. I've seen that many times where younger techs are very excited about a new piece of technology. The new technology comes with a price tag, sometimes not a big one, but it oftentimes comes with a lot of unknowns and risk, like we had talked about earlier. But I think a lot of younger techs, or even just nerds, regardless of the age, are a lot more aware of the capabilities, and they see that value intrinsically, maybe because they're digital natives, maybe because they just have experience with sensor platforms or something like that. But oftentimes they want to push the technology forward in the organization, maybe when their boss doesn't want to do it yet. So there's friction there that stops a lot of HVAC companies from being able to progress and to get to the next level of integrating it to their business case. So for the technicians who are in that position, they have the technology, they're testing it out. Maybe they are started their personal use program or their kind of an employee evaluation program, but they need to convince the business owner or the manager that is really worth their time. What would you advise them to do, to say, to have the best outcomes in this situation?
So as a technician, if you've already done the research on the product, you've looked into it, you understand how it works, maybe you've even tested it in your own home. This is half the battle of actually bringing it to your company and getting it implemented. If you're able to explain this to your managers, go to your managers, whoever your direct manager above you is, and say, hey, I've done the research on this new product. I've tested it in my own home. I understand how it works. I believe in it. I think that we should be using this at our company. That speaks volumes to those managers. And if you can explain why this would be a good thing to use at your company, that it would make you more efficient, it would make the company more efficient, it's really going to set you apart from a lot of the other technicians there as well. So it's a really good thing to do that, especially if you want to implement that at the company you work for.
Ben, those are great points. I can sprinkle a little different perspective from being a manager or GM of a HVAC and plumbing firm years ago. My Monday morning meetings were always the best times to ask for that type of feedback from my tech, what they felt was important to them. It's difficult, especially the larger the business gets, how connected you really are with the managers are with the technicians at a level of beyond the chaos of the day. So my best feedback for technicians on how to bring up something that they're excited about is to also start to evangelize within their peer group and try to get some of the other team members buying into the same things. Hey, let me get you one for you, test kit, or whatever type of device it is, or smart tools, or etc., and start to build the story, right? Because if I'm a manager and I'm all of a sudden 20% of my technicians are now using this, and they're using it with good merit, and now I'm going to start to listen. Sometimes it can be a bit daunting for a technician to want to bring it up, because they're probably the one that's always bringing up something new, and it never happens. So the reality is every time I bring something up, you always squash it, or nothing ever happens. So there's, not to say encourage this dissension among the troops, but almost build advocacy, but for the right reasons. If it's something that's solving problems and you can document and tell a story on how it is solving problems, and also making the homeowner win, because that's the only thing the managers care about at the end of the day. It's the only thing the owners care about at the end of the day, is that homeowner customer being happy. So if they're not happy, bad things happen. So if it can tie back to that, I would say no matter what technology or new process or widget that they're excited about, is always think about it from a perspective of, if I was the owner, what would this mean to me? kind of take that ownership mentality on how they look at some advocating this way.
One thing I would add to that is if you are going that route of getting an evaluation device, which oftentimes is subsidized quite substantially, is to get it in as soon as possible. Because the storytelling that Ryan was talking about that's a critical component, but you need to have the ammunition to go into the story. And so the best stories are one that come from a personal perspective. So if you're interested in monitoring and you want to tell a really good story, install the device, the technology, whether it's Smart AC, Avon, or anything else, put it into your home as soon as you can, because these monitoring technologies, they create more compounding value. And so being able to excite even your peers in getting them to advocate for the technology, if you don't have proof, if you don't have a personal connection to the technology, it'll be difficult to get others to see that value. And you can't talk with as much excitement as you can as if you end up that one thing that I do at 6 a.m. every morning, that ends up causing my HVAC system to have this event, which gives me an alert. And so that now flips that switch in your head, which is the value that then you can pass along to others and help them see that the platform is worth considering as an investment by the business.